Golf is a game of strategy and skill, but there's also an element of luck in it. In the famous words of Gary Player, "The more I practice, the luckier I get." Although the sentiment is good and encourages hard work and a dedication to perfecting their craft, there are times when everything else fails. In those moments, players either experience good or bad luck. It could be a certain birdie that rolls across the hole into a hazard or a fluke shot that finds the hole on the first swing. The gods of golf are random and impartial, but sometimes it feels like they are out to get a golfer. Here are 10 of such times. A fatal error. Roberto De Vicenzo was on fire at the 1968 Masters, shooting a birdie 3 on the 17th hole at Augusta. It was the final round, and everyone expected Vicenzo to push on to victory or a top 10 finish at worst. However, something even worse happened. Tommy Aaron, Vicenzo's playing partner, marked down Vicenzo's score as 4 on the cards. The Argentinian, who had no reason to doubt his partner's record-keeping skills, signed the card without cross-checking the numbers. The card was accepted, and Vicenzo went on to play with a higher, albeit incorrect score. This slight error proved to be his undoing in the end. Rather than going level with Bob Goalby to force a playoff on the 18th hole the following day, he fell short, effectively handing his opponent the win. Vicenzo was quoted as saying, "What a stupid I am," when he discovered the mistake. Suffice it to say that he always checked his cards from that day onwards. Of errors and missed chances. If there was ever an unlucky break that became a long, drawn-out, and painful tease, it happened in 2015 during the qualification event for the Web.com Tour Finals. Oliver Schneiderjens needed only to make the cut at the Wyndham Championship to secure a spot in the finals and then set himself up for a card to the PGA Tour the following season. But straightforward as it sounded, everything went to hell when Schneiderjens drove a flyer from the rough during his final hole and settled for a bogey. The ex-amateur world #1 was still inside the cut line though, so he only had to wait and watch the scorecards of others. Well, that went about as well as you'd expect for anyone on this list because a player in the last group scored a birdie on the last hole to move the cut line. Schneiderjens went from being safe in the 2-under cut line to being on the wrong side of a 3-under. What followed next was a rare chance at redemption, as Eric Compton suffered an able injury that ruled him out of the event. But Compton's withdrawal was a little too late. Had it happened 16 hours earlier, Schneiderjens might have just made the cut by the breadth of a cat's whiskers. But it was pointless now. Schneiderjens missed the cut by a mere 4.5 points. Less than one shot over the single season. If that wasn't bad enough, the PGA Tour rules at the time forbade Schneiderjens from participating in the Web.com Tour the following season. The wrong kinds of miracles. Greg Norman is probably among the few who'd never believed the saying, "Lightning doesn't strike twice," because in his case, it did. Norman secured his place in 2 back-to-back majors finals, the 1986 US PGA Championship and the 1987 Masters. No, he didn't play badly. The gods of golf just chose to possess his opponents on both occasions. In 1996, Norman faced off against Bob Tway. The latter played an impossible bunker shot that somehow managed to win him the championship. A year later, Larry Mize was sinking a 140-foot chip shot to deny Norman yet another major victory in an event he was touted to win. Daylight robbery? Miguel Angel Martin racked up 14 professional wins during his time on the course, but qualifying for the Ryder Cup in 1997 was arguably the highlight of his career. So you can imagine how worried he must have been when a wrist injury surfaced to thin his chances on the road to the event. However, just before the event got underway, the injury seemed to be healing up nicely, and Martin felt confident that he'd be fit in time to make the opening shot. Then, in a move that has divided fans and critics alike for years, the European team demanded that Martin take a fitness test weeks before the event started. Naturally, he refused, saying the results would be better if he had more time to recover. The team didn't take his refusal well and dropped him for the event. Martin was devastated and expressed dissatisfaction with how the matter was handled, stating, "They could have waited until days before." Other golfers took Martin's side, like Ignacio Garrido, who implied an underlying bias in the team when he said, "It's the most unfair decision I've heard of in golf history. If it had been Seve or Monty, it would not have happened." Clubbed. The 2001 Open features one of the worst unlucky breaks in golf. Ian Woosnam had just played the opening hole at Royal Lytham. Had it been a par 4 or a par 5, the golfer would have most likely noticed the error with his clubs. C. Woosnam's caddy had simply forgotten to remove the driver the golfer had been testing in the lead-up to the finals. The Royal Lytham is a par 3, meaning Woosnam had broken the rules by bringing 15 clubs to the course. It didn't help that this error was only discovered during the second tee. Woosnam was slapped a 2-shot penalty, effectively turning the birdie of his opening shot into a bogey. The drop in points destabilized the Welshman, ruining his fine run of form. He'd finished the event T3, trailing 4 points behind the winner, David Duval. The only thing you'll be driving is golf balls. In 2013, another Welshman, Stuart Manley, suffered a different unlucky break. After striking a hole-in-one, he thought he'd just bagged him a brand new Mercedes at the World Cup of Golf. Manley was ecstatic, high-fiving spectators, punching the air and patting the car. It was like watching the third-place celebration meme come to life. But the euphoria was short-lived when Manley discovered that the grand prize was reserved for the final round. Ouch. If that wasn't enough embarrassment for one day, Manley scored an 11 on the next hole. After the event, he was interviewed about the situation and remarked, "It's the highest high and lowest low I've ever experienced on a golf course. Are you not entertained? If anyone deserves to go all Leonidas on the gods of golf, it's Justin Rose." The Brit came agonizingly close to adding to his major victory twice in 2015. He made a 14-under total, which would have granted him the trophy in 14 of the last 18 Masters. However, the 2015 event was different because Jordan Spieth led the pack with 4 more shots. Rose repeated similar heroics at the US PGA Championships to no avail. His 14-under total would have made him a champion 13 times in the last 18 championships. But on that day at Whistling Straits, Jason Day caught fire and was 6 shots ahead. Rose ended up as a second runner-up in the Masters and placed 4th in the PGA Championship. It's a shame how 2 different trailblazers ruined his chances twice in a calendar year. Of holes and swan songs. You've heard of John Daly, but Joe Daly might be a little more unknown. That's not by accident. It was the year 2000, and Daly was involved in a somewhat surprising incident at the PGA Tour qualifying school. While playing the 18th hole of his 4th round, he struck a beautiful 5-foot putt that dipped gracefully into the middle of the hole. You'd think such a shot should be immortalized on the walls of his home, but Daly might not wish to remember it. See, despite sinking the ball, it bounced out of the cup and sat on the lip of the hole. The odds of making such a shot were more than missing entirely. Upon further investigation, officials found that the inside lip had broken loose and pushed upwards. Even with that discovery, Daly's score did not stand, and that 1 stroke cost him. He missed the cut for the PGA Tour by exactly 1 stroke. Worse still, he never again came that close to qualifying for the tour. Yet another partner error. So far, we've discussed 1 or 2 instances of partners or caddies ruining golfers' chances. Well, here's another. Holly Clyburn's golfing career might appear slightly different if he'd played alongside a more thorough and vigilant partner in 2014. The Englishwoman suffered an agonizing disqualification from the LPGA qualifying school. Even worse, it happened in Stage 2 of the event. Justine Lee, Clyburn's playing partner that day, exited the scoring area without first signing the latter's card. You know the rules. 6.6b states that players must ensure their marker signs the card. Justine didn't. Sue Witters, the LPGA rules official on the course that day, wasn't so enthusiastic about having to enforce the rules on Clyburn. In her words, Justine just flat out whiffed it. Champagne is for drinking. Perhaps the most ridiculous, unluckiest break of all time happened at the 1994 Open at Royal St. George's when Harry Bradshaw struck a trick-shot professional's wet dreams. In the second round of the event, the Irishman's tee came to rest in a glass bottle. No, that's not an exaggeration. The contraption was, in fact, a champagne bucket. While this would have earned a few laughs had Bradshaw been playing in his backyard course, it was a cruel twist of fate that prevented him from potentially winning the competition. His final total sat at 283, and he could quickly have finished with a shot less. You only need to recall Joe Daly's story to know how much a single shot is worth in golf. However, Bradshaw remained composed after the incident. He dropped a shot at the 5th hole to tie Bobby Locke and force a playoff, which proved his undoing as he lost. Presented like this, it seems a glass bottle cost him a career-changing opportunity. But what if I told you Bradshaw's ignorance was his kryptonite instead? The rules of golf would have most likely offered relief for a situation as unique as his. However, he passed on the opportunity, and that was the last time he came close to a top 5 finish at a major. That brings us to the end of the video. If you love this kind of content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Catch you in the next one.